What sucks about being your age? Being retired, the two things that really suck are watching good friends pass away yearly, having to push through the aches and pains of old age to do the things you enjoy. But I realize that I'm luckier than many of my friends who have had hip, knee or shoulder replacements or open heart surgery. But your second point is important to keep your mobility. My grandparents basically hung it up at 70 and sat on the porch all day every day, and started really slowing down in their 80s to the point that both needed a cane and then a walker. My grandma is still alive at 93, but lives in assisted living and sometimes struggles even with a walker. My dad just turned 70 this year, but still plays tennis 2-3 times a week and bocce ball twice a week, and still takes on most of the housework. When he retired at 58, he stopped moving and got bad arthritis and back pain, and had to be told at physical therapy that he has to keep moving or it'll just get worse. Thanks. Points well taken. I'm working through it. Wrinkle cream and acne cream. Yes. Why do I have grey hair and zits? Not fair. Mid to late 20s. Feeling like I'm way behind from where I should be by now. That never goes away. Best case scenario is you become at peace with where you are in life, and between the happy moments you still fleetingly think about what could have been. No one is completely satisfied. Yes, it's called acceptance and gratitude. It doesn't mean settling, it's just finding good things in your current situation. Frick what other people are doing. Do what you want to do. Wife, kids, house, who cares? That's not happiness for everyone. The Joneses can eat my ass. Being sore because I slept wrong. I'm 29. 5 couples from my friend's circle are expecting a child or recently got married. A few others have built a solid foundation in their career and are buying houses. Most of us grew up in apartment buildings, so it feels fancy to own a house at 30 where I'm from. Meanwhile, I'm currently a student and broke. It feels like everyone's so far ahead in life that they'll always be a step further and I'll never catch up. This is why I've largely abandoned social media. If I find out some big news about someone via social media, most often I don't care about it much, because they're probably just someone I know, or barely even that. Big news from someone a little closer are usually said in person, and those are the ones I care about. I've been seeing people getting married and pregnant for years on my Facebook feed, but suddenly it's all my close friends or someone I hang out with at least occasionally, telling me about their big news. I guess that's why it made me feel a little weird. You're right though, not much good comes out of following social media too closely. Don't compare yourself. Easier said than done, something I have to learn too. Cliché, but everything happens to everyone in its own time. Get your education, work your ass off and you'll get there. Just because everything seems fancy for them doesn't mean life is good for them. Never know what's going on behind closed doors. You'll catch up, one step at a time. You've got this. Once your friends start getting married and having kids, it becomes lonely. Yep. Doesn't help when you move 3,000 miles and don't know anyone. Especially now since I can't even socialize with new people, and I've made very few legitimate friends out here. Making friends as an adult is hard. There's no obligation to spend enough time with other people to become friendly, unless you join a club which feels lame and weird, but does actually work. If it helps, we're all horribly lonely right now. I appreciate the sympathy, but I really hate that we're all lonely. It doesn't help that the man I'm in love with told me he can't commit to a relationship with me because he loves me in a different way than I love him. I'm trying to come to terms with it, but it's affecting me in ways I didn't realize it would. I can't even figure out how to talk to a therapist right now, and I'm not sure if my insurance covers mental health. Thanks for letting me vent to you. It doesn't help that the man I'm in love with told me he can't commit to a relationship with me because he loves me in a different way than I love him. Go to cut the cord, my friend. It'll drive you crazy to the end of your days if you keep him in the picture. Balding, back pain, bad vision. I'm 23. Yeesh. The 3 B's. Boner problems. Butt leakage. I'm too old to take up most action sports. The body doesn't bounce back like it used to, that it's real, and too young to retire and just frick off all the time. I feel you, man. My it is just now starting to fall apart. I'm pretty active still, but sometimes my body just hurts for no reason. It's only going to get worse from here. The early 30s is that weird age where you're just old enough to be out of touch with what's cool, but not yet old enough to be fully progressed in your career to be sitting on enough stacks to not care about that. Getting there at least. I had a co-worker say he felt this way about turning 30, but then someone changed his mind by saying that he's old enough to know who he is and what he wants and needs, but still young enough to do things with his life and have fun. I don't know if this helps. I'm only 18, so I wouldn't know. This is exactly how I feel, 31. I felt so lost for the longest time, trying to figure out who I was. I put myself through Summit and I have experienced a lot. Now I just do stuff I love doing and I care a lot less about what people think of me. I'm even more active than I was in my 20s, was playing on 3 different sports teams pre-COVID, and in my 20s I was very lazy and mostly high. I know this is just my experience though, and it can be much different for others. 31 here, still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I am also getting more random aches. It's a weird time. My body is starting to feel the aches and pains older people have told me about. It's not terrible, just really annoying. How old are you? I was at work sitting on my comfortable chair earlier this week. I turned my torso slightly to the right and pulled a muscle in my back that I didn't even know was there. I'm 44 years old. I'm 45. I used to have back pains all the time. Stupid things would throw my back out. Started doing jujitsu recreationally. Strengthened that core right up. No more back pains. Sure, my whole body is sore usually from exertion and joint hyperextension, but nothing debilitating anymore. I'm 25 and the whole existential dread of figuring out what to do with my life is probably the worst part of things. Oh yeah, that doesn't go away. Part of this wonderful adventure we get to have. I'm old enough that I should have my it together, but I'm too young to have my it together. No one has their it together. Literally no one. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to save face. I'm married, can afford my living, and have my desired career. I still don't even have my it together. I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. I've just been stupidly lucky. When you finally understand what Mark Twain meant when he said youth is wasted on the young. When you're too young to understand, but know damn well he's right and you're gonna wish you knew, lol. It's one of those before you know it you'll be my age boy kinda things. I turned 29 this year and just realized a year or two ago like, damn, where has life gone? Feels like I should still be in first year of college, or just graduating. Whereas 6-7 years as a 12-year-old is like an eternity. To be honest, a couple years ago I had a really surreal experience where I had this realization. It's kinda a weird story. Simplified version is I was at a convention, in a room full of other teens cuddling with this guy I just met hours before while we all laid in a giant pile of pillows. I remember realizing that that moment was one of the happiest moments I'd ever had, and that it would end in a few hours. When I realized this, at first I panicked, trying to figure out how to not waste those hours. Then it hit me. The best use of this time was to just lay still and experience the joy as long as I could. So that's what I did, and ever since I've tried to enjoy every moment of pure happiness, because I know things will change. Time will go on and that's okay. But just knowing that things will change is the most obvious and at the same time the hardest realization I think I've ever had. At a convention cuddling with a bunch of other teens I had just met in a pile of pillows. What the frick kind of convention was this? Is this a common thing? Teens like 13, 14 or teens like 18, 19? Why was cuddling with strangers such a great experience? I have so many questions. When I was late teens to mid 20s I used to make fun of my dad cause his not being able to read small print newspaper etc. Of course letters were blurry. He would ask me, Steve, read that for me, it's too blurry. I come out and say to him, what's the matter, too old, your eyes can't make out small print? His reply be, you just wait, you fricka get my age, you will go same it. Well, some 15 or so years later I had some blueprints out on table. Concrete construction I do. Had some details I couldn't make out, so I, Jesse, come here, can you tell me what that says? And I be a motherfricker. My son's reply was, you getting too old, dad can't read that. That moment years back of me telling my dad pop up and thinking if what my dad told me going happened to me one day. He was just saying that he is okay, not to forget about him from the grave. Love you, Pops, I'm sure your eyesight is better.